Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is the junior or 11th grade college planning night, part one. We're going to do this in two parts. The first part tonight will be about the college search process, give you some pointers, sort of take you through how to do the college search, what you should be looking for. And then in the spring, we'll announce the date, probably in January or so, of part two, which is usually May-ish, sometime in May, where we'll get into the actual application process, what you'll need to do in terms of Common App and all of those steps. So this is sort of the introductory to all things college related, and we'll take it from here. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, let's see. All right, you guys see that? Everybody good? All right. So as I said, it's the junior college planning night, and this is part one. And we'll start by maybe. All right, maybe not. There we go. Meeting the guidance department. So we set up our guidance counselors based on the last name, and we try to keep everybody together for 4 years. There's a few different programs. However, we do sign guidance counselors too. So Jen Prue is our guidance counselor that services A to CH, and she also acts as our sort of day-to-day, we call them academic coordinators, sort of in charge of the department on a day-to-day basis. And then Sharon Griever has last name CI to I. And then Julia Travaris, who's one of our new counselors. We're very lucky to have her start this year. Hers last name J to O, and then she helps with dual enrollment. And then Michaela Serais is services kids with last name P to Z. Anybody that's in the STEP or DHH Reads program. Melissa Thompson, who is not with us tonight, is our guidance secretary and sort of the glue that holds us all together. She would be the person, if you have questions about school brains, some of the Naviance questions, community service, and those kinds of things, she usually can help you with that. And then I'm Vinny Searcy. I'm the Director of Pupil Personnel Services. And as part of that job, I also act as sort of the head of guidance. So before we get into the actual process of doing the college search, and then later on, as we said in part two, we'll get into the actual application. I want to know sort of how to stay connected to us. So we have a couple of different ways. One of the things I do is I usually send out an email to all of the high school parents with kind of the schedule of events, do fall and winter, and then winter and spring, things that are going on within the guidance department, things like what we're doing tonight, but also, seminars that we're doing with students, things that are going on with our school to career program, just about anything that has to do with guidance related activities. And then each of the guidance counselors has created for each of the grade levels. So each grade level will have one guidance Google Classroom. And in those Google Classrooms, students are going to access our monthly newsletters. And those will also be sent out through Parent Squares. And a lot of this stuff is also attached to Mr. Dolleman's newsletter. So you can get it in a lot of different ways. But also in the Google Classrooms, we cover anything to do with college planning, admissions, visits, job fairs, those kinds of things that we have going on with the department. And then we have an Instagram account. We've sort of moved away from Twitter. We found that the kids really weren't responding to that. And Ms. Surrace is like, I think we should go to Instagram. So we've moved on to Instagram. I guess we're not as up with things as we used to be. So now we are. And again, we're going to send out to anybody who's is part of our Instagram account, any upcoming events that are happening at our school, but also links to webinars, reminders about deadlines, those kinds of things as well. So, and then helpful reminders. And then really, I think one of the things we want to stress is that, we're going to give you an overview tonight, but if you really want to sort of dig into the weeds, we have a college planning guide that is on our website. If you go to the Norton High School website, click over to departments, and then you'll see the guidance department or the student support services department. Click onto that, and you can get to our college planning guides. This is very detailed. You can read it cover to cover, so to speak, but it also has a lot of hyperlinks. So if you're like, geez, I just want some information on SATs, or I want to know what to do with My son or my daughter's thinking about playing sports in college. What do I need to do with NCAA? That's there. Oh, I'm a first generation, college parent, and I've never done this before. There's even information about that. So, you can, like I said, read it cover to cover, or you can kind of use the hyperlinks to look for information specifically to what you want to do. And so with that, I'm passing it over to Ms. Prue.
Okay, so the platform that we're going to be using, and the students are familiar with this, is Naviance. They've all gone on Naviance before. They all have their login, and it's really the platform which we're going to be researching colleges. There are some career interest surveys on there if students are unsure about where they would like to see themselves or even what their strengths are. Ms. Kay, our career specialist down in the bubble, she uses these a lot when she goes into the classrooms or even works one-on-one with students, and we can do that as well. But this is where students will also, like I said, research colleges. They'll create lists. They'll designate colleges that they're going to apply to, create those lists where counselors will upload their transcripts, school reports. Students will request letters of recommendation. So everything college related is going to be through this platform. So we're really going to start using this a lot more junior year. And like I said, students, they've all already been on it. They should all know their username, password. If they don't know, they can come down and have their password reset. Their username is their email address for school, but we are going to go in and be going through a brief refresher in LLB on the 28th. For all the junior students. And then, like Mr. Searcy said, as the year goes on, we're actually going to be going into classrooms and be going more in depth with them, having one-on-one meetings with them. And we're going, like I said, walking them through everything with them.
I think one of the important things right now students can do is put together a list of your usernames and passwords. We really strongly recommend that they have that on their phone, and then maybe share some of that with parents, because that oftentimes becomes a kind of a thing that gets in the way. So having that access and be able to say, oh, haven't been on Naviance in a month. I don't remember what my username and password is. And then they get frustrated and then they move on. So having that information and starting to keep a spreadsheet or, like I said, on your notes section of your phone, it really makes this whole process a lot easier.
And that's something we mentioned when we go in and talk to them. And we try to impress upon them that it's really important. So when they go into Naviance, just so you can see, this is what the homepage looks like. And really my favorites right there, those are the sections that we're really going to be focusing in on, the colleges I'm thinking about and colleges I'm applying to. And then you can see at the bottom the careers and clusters. So junior year, we've really going into the colleges I'm thinking about. And when you go into that section, you can see there are some quick links over on the side. There's a super match, there's the advanced college search, and the college lookup. College lookup really is if you already know that college that you're looking for, it's really easy. You're just going in, you're looking for that, that specific college. The advanced college search, it's really general. It's if you're looking for a 2-year versus a 4-year college, or if you're looking for public versus private. It's really not specific. We tend to have the students go to the Supermatch. Supermatch is, and if you go to the next page, you can see it. Sorry. No, that's okay. You're really getting down to like the nitty gritty, and you can really search for specifics. So students can do multiple searches and save them. So if they're not sure about the location, they can say, I want to go to the Northeast, but then they can refine it based on certain states, or they can do different types of locations across the country. They can look for different academics, different costs, variables, different parts of student life, athletics. Really, you can see under majors, you can put a ton of different things in and really refine it to what you want. And then if a school does pop up, it'll tell you what percentage it matches with you. And then also there's a section that will say there's 10 schools that meet the same criteria. So you can click on that and get another 10 schools or whatever it is. And it matches you based on the criteria you're putting in, but also your GPA that's in there. And they all have, well, once they get their PSAT scores, they'll be in there as well. So that'll match up also. And then there's, oh, sorry, there was a link up on top.
Yep, that's the wrong way.
Wrong way.
There we go.
And again, we'll be sending out this presentation. So the link will be there. You can go through it. There's a whole video that kind of goes over this. But the next slide goes more into kind of what I was talking about. And that is the next person.
So like Ms. Prue was saying, the really great thing about the search tool is it shows the percentage of the match. And it's also a great way for students to start thinking about different aspects of the school that are really important to them. So if they haven't thought of, city versus more rural area, it's really, again, just a way to kind of jumpstart what might be important to them. And then the search results, like Ms. Prue mentioned too, kind of take into account their current GPA and kind of show the different match levels from there. So it's a really good way to start the search process, especially since there are a lot of schools out there, and sometimes it can kind of be a little bit difficult to figure out where exactly to start. So for students who are unsure, or for any student really, a school might pop up on this list that they've never heard of before, then they might do a little bit more research, and that might end up being the school that they go to.
Just really quickly, I'm sorry. Oh, Mr. Cersei.
Oh, go bow. Here we go.
Wrong way again.
There we go.
And I know Ms. Griever is going to talk about the little heart, but I just wanted to point it out that it's right here. If you look under the name, like University of California, it says favorite and there's a little heart. So you don't actually have to go to click on the link for the school. That little heart is right there. And she's going to talk about it in the next slide. But I just wanted to mention that's there as well.
Exactly. So with the Supermatch, and you can also search any school you want to as well, but for the schools that have a high percentage of matches, every school for the most part is going to have more of an in-depth page on Naviance. So it's going to go over like different programs of studies, student life, different costs. It's all things that you can find on their own website directly, but it's nice to kind of get a little bit of a snapshot here. There's a few things I do want to mention on this page here. One is that heart button that Ms. Prue talked about. If a student clicks that, that will automatically add it to their college's I'm interested in list. So it's a really great way for them to be able to easily add schools that they want to revisit later. And then another thing I want to point out is, like I said, there's a few different tabs for each school. The admissions tab is a really helpful tool because it shows a scattergram, which is a graph. So it shows students based off their current GPA and SAT scores, kind of statistically where they fall to pass Norton High School applicants. So it's a great way for eventually when they are putting together their final list of schools to gauge if a school is more of like a reach school, more of a target school, or a safety school.
And I think it's important to note that, it's a good indicator, but it doesn't necessarily always work out the way, the way you would think. So it's something to consider, but also understand that, wait, I looked at the scattergram, it said this was going to be a safety school or a reach school, but sometimes schools are particularly hot. And I've used this example in the past that Providence College, for a lot of our students, should have been a solid school. They should have got into, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago. But for whatever reason, Providence College got a ton of applications. It was a really hot school in this area. And so students that normally, if you looked at the scattergram, would be like, oh, I should get in. Often they got waitlisted or didn't get in. So again, it's a good tool, but it's not guaranteed.
And so that's one way to add it is through the heart. Another way to add it is if a student already knows the school that they're interested in, they can just hit the add colleges to list. And I find this to be really helpful if students add schools to the list here, because this is something we have access to. So in the spring, when I'm starting to meet with juniors individually, if they already have schools on their list, that can really help jumpstart the conversation about what aspects of the school they really are interested in. And then senior year too, again, we have access, so it's helpful for us to kind of know where students are thinking. So juniors were given the opportunity to attend a college fair that we held. We held it a few weeks ago on October 6th. There were over 60 schools there, so it was really great to see. And I feel like a lot of the juniors were really interactive there too, just talking with the admissions counselors, getting information, kind of filling out like a little card with their contact info to show the schools that they're interested in. So that's one way that they've gotten exposure so far this year. Another is I'm currently running the junior Google Classroom, and I'm hosting college admission, like college rep visits. So we're opening those up to juniors this year. So they're able, if there's a school that they're interested in, they're able to sign up to meet in a small group with the admissions rep. And that's a great way to get information about a school if they have specific questions that they need to ask. And it's also just a great way for them to demonstrate interest. So those sign up forms are posted via Google Classroom, and a lot of juniors have been taking advantage of it so far, which is great.
Like right now, oh, sorry, this Thursday we have UConn coming, and we have 22 students and 12 of them are juniors. So they are taking advantage of that. And that's a great opportunity for them to do. And a lot of those, the admission reps that are coming in, a lot of those are people that will be reading their applications and deciding whether or not they get into the school, or even bringing them to committee. So starting those conversations now and those relationships, it is huge. So it's really important.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. So we'll move on.
And it's really important to connect with admissions. So like I mentioned, the college fair, I know students were connecting with them then, with the college reps coming, showing interest that way too. But there's also a lot of other ways to show interest, you know, connecting on social media, emailing the admissions reps, going on any tours. Schools really do kind of track and gauge interest of students, and ultimately they really want someone who really wants to be there. So even the little things like checking your email and interacting with the links on it goes a long way in terms of demonstrating interest.
We've been told that sometimes they even track how long you're on, especially if you've signed into their site, how long you've been on, what kinds of things you're looking at, are you moving around? Because yes, the colleges, you know, you're applying there, but they're trying to figure out who to offer acceptance to that is most likely going to actually accept that acceptance, right? They want to try to get as many people as possible out of the group that they say, yes, please come. So they need you in some ways as much as you need them. So if it really is a place that your son or daughter is interested in, they really need to take advantage of these things. Go to college on-campus tours. If you go on an on-campus tour, make sure you sign in. I know that sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't. They're like, oh yeah, I'm here. I'm just going to make sure you get your name on a list, because they're going to say, did this person, it's down between, you know, five different students. Well, which ones have come to campus? How often have they come to campus? Did they sign into any of our social media? That goes into some of their decision making, especially the competitive schools.
And we did also want to talk about this opportunity that we have for juniors. So we're offering, through Bridgewater, a college visit. So students are going to be able to get a tour of the campus, get an information session that talks about the admissions process, and also lunch will be provided. So this is happening on November 4th. Bus will leave school around 9:30, come back about 1:30. It is limited to 30 students. I did put the sign up form in the Google Classroom yesterday. I just checked it, and 15 students have signed up already, pending that they get their permission slip in. So this is just a really great way where, you know, the school is providing this opportunity. So for some who might not be able to get there on their own or have other commitments, just a really good thing to take advantage of.
And even for students that maybe aren't sure they're even interested in Bridgewater, I think it's a good opportunity to get onto campus and see and hear what what they offer, what it's going to sound like when they sort of give their spiel, so that when you go to other colleges, you have something to compare it with.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about standardized testing, which is also another piece of the application process. We had all juniors take the PSAT last Wednesday during school. So the PSAT is a practice test to gauge what areas students need to improve on for future tests and scores. Colleges do not see PSAT scores. Again, it's more for practice, though we do encourage kids to take it seriously and try to do their best, because it is a good indicator of how their SAT scores will look. Most juniors take the SAT or ACT late in their junior year, and some choose to retake it in the fall of their senior year. So that allows them, like if they take it in the spring and then they take it a second time in the fall, that gives them a few months in between to try to work on the areas where they may need to improve. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the ACT is another standardized test. It is not through College Board like SAT and PSAT. It is through ACT Student. The link for the to register for the test is in the next bullet. But the difference is that SAT is just on reading, writing, and math, whereas the ACT actually has a science section as well. So for some students who are strong in science, they may want to consider taking an ACT exam, and all colleges accept, either one. If a student thinks they may qualify for a fee waiver to cover the cost of the test, because I believe it goes up every year. I think it's like $60-something to take the SAT. But some students who are eligible for free lunch, and we can check on that in the guidance office, we can give them a fee waiver, which will give them a code, which will then cover the cost of the test. So we have a slide here which shows all the upcoming test dates. So for juniors, the earliest they would probably consider taking it is in March. So sometime in the spring, and this shows the registration deadline of February 10th. There's also a May 6th exam with a registration deadline of April 7th. And for the ACT, probably February would be the earliest that they would consider taking, with a deadline of January 6th, or April 15th with a registration deadline of March 10th.
And there are more tests through towards the end of the year in June. These are just the next 3 test dates.
And just be mindful too, if you are going to be registering, it's better to do it on the earlier side, just because test centers do fill up, and sometimes they make you travel depending on how late you register, and based on availability, you might have to go as far as, like, I've actually had a student go to Connecticut to take an SAT just because that was all that was available. So just be aware of deadlines for that.
Wait, can we actually, before you do that,
Yep.
one thing too,
Sure.
if you are a student that is has accommodations either through a 504 or a excuse me, an IEP, you need to let your guidance counselor know that you are going to take the SAT or the ACT and when that's going to be, because I actually do all of the accommodations. So what happens is I will take that 504 or that IEP after getting a consent from the parent, and I have to put in a request for those accommodations through College Board or ACT. And it can take up to 8 weeks for them to review it and approve the accommodations, and that's if they don't have any questions. So sometimes they'll come back and ask for, documentation around testing and so forth. So if you are somebody who has a 504 and IEP, and you're going to be taking an SAT and you want your accommodations, please make sure you reach out to us. Let us know that that's what you want to do and kind of when you're going to plan on taking it, so that I can get that information all set and ready for you to go and have it all approved. Certain accommodations also cannot be done in a regular test center. So for example, somebody has 100% extra time. or there's a few of them. There's not a lot, but those actually have to be done at our school during the school week. So there's a lot of arrangements that have to be made around that. If you're interested and that's your case, please make sure you reach out to your guidance counselors who will get you the appropriate consents, and then we'll get that information to me.
Thank you. Yeah, that's important. So one of the kind of results of COVID has also been that a lot of schools have decided to go test optional. So they're not using standardized testing as a part of the application process. So they're basing their decisions on these other factors. So you do have a choice if a school is test optional and you're not very happy with your scores, you do have the choice to not send them in. If that's the case, some of the other important pieces that they're going to look for is first going to be your academic performance over the course of your high school career. So that's going to be your transcript, which has your GPA on it. They're going to look at things like growth over time, the rigor in your courses. You know, colleges do realize that sometimes students may not take freshman year as seriously, but as long as students kind of improve over time and work hard and maybe challenge themselves by taking honors and AP level classes. Also leadership roles, like not just being in a club or in a sport, but actually having a leadership position in that club or sport. And what do those responsibilities look like? The rigor of academics, we talked about that, like really challenging themselves, trying new things. We have dual enrollment, which is a partnership with some of the local colleges where students are able to take college courses while still in high school. So that's always impressive for a college to see, because that shows that you can handle college level work. Extracurricular activity involvement. So again, it's not about doing everything, but kind of picking a few things that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, and sticking with them. You know, we've had students that maybe have been playing an instrument since they were young and have really stuck with it, or something like martial arts, soccer. I mean, there's so many variety of things that we see our kids involved in. And all that is going to impress the admissions people at the colleges. The personal essay is a big piece of the application process. We always recommend students have at least, you know, one English teacher maybe work with them and help them with revisions and edits, so that the final result is really a perfect draft. Because colleges a lot of times will read that and really learn a lot about the student through their essay. And then student course selections based on school offerings. So really seeing what kinds of classes the students are taking. Hopefully in some cases too, if a student knows they're interested in a particular track, taking courses, you know, in that track. So someone wanting to go into the medical field, maybe taking a variety of science courses to get them prepared. Someone that's interested in an art school, hopefully taking a variety of the different art courses that we offer to really give them that foundation.
And I think one of the important things when you look at leadership, you know, it's not just about things that happen within school. So it's not just that you're, you know, captain of a team or you're president of an honor society. I was just talking to a young man who was working in a part-time job, but he's now the shift manager and trainer, you know, so those kinds of things are important, and schools are going to look at that just as much as I'm president of the History Honor Society. They're going to also look at, wait, so they make you the shift manager at McDonald's? That's actually a really important thing. So making sure you think a little bit beyond just what's happening in your school environment is, I think, important.
One of the things I was going to say, Vinny, sorry about the test optional, is you have to be cognizant of the fact that even though it says when you're looking up the schools, it may be test optional now, does not mean it's going to be test optional next year.
Great
so
point.
I just got off of a webinar today about UMass Amherst, and they're test optional right now, but they may not be next year. They're actually deciding that in the next couple of months. And that's one thing that they let everybody know that next year they may not be. They're hoping that they will be and continue, but they're still deciding that. The other thing about test optional is that the school itself may be test optional, but the program of study, like if you're going for nursing, the school itself might be, but the actual program that you're going for may not be. So you really have to be aware of all the applications requirements, and that might be, you might have to take the SATs for that. And then the other thing was the essay. Towards the end of the year, all the students will be doing the essays in their English classes. So the English teachers will be working with them to complete them and that sort of thing, but definitely making sure that they're getting that done with the teachers, and you know, if they need that little extra help staying after school or meeting in LLBs and that sort of thing, to make sure that everything is very well put together, because like Mrs. Tavares said, all the grammar, everything really needs to be very well put together. So.
And I think the other piece that's come up, we've had some senior parents ask us, like, well, should I go test optional? Should they not go test optional? We tried to give you a sort of an overview of the things you need to think about, but don't be afraid to have the student, and I stress that, have the student call the admissions rep and have a conversation. They're more than happy to say, well, you know, I think you have enough here. This might be, or geez, your scores aren't as bad as you think they are. Why don't you send them in? And one of the things we didn't talk, I don't think so far, and I'm not sure if it's here, is about this super scoring. Did we talk about that at all?
Not yet.
So I don't know if you want to touch on that, the idea of a super score, so people understand.
Sure. So a super score is basically taking your highest math score and your highest English score and sending those, because we know, you know, students and all of us, we have days where we might do better in one section or another. So, you know, we do have sometimes if a student does really well on the math, but then maybe the second time they take the test, their math score actually might go down a little bit, but their English score is stronger. So they can actually pick, you know, the highest of the two and send those for the school to see. So they see their best scores.
So if you have a school that does a college, university that does math super scoring, you just send in both, right? And then they will take the highest two to give you credit for it. So again, something to be aware of, something that you really, we can't stress enough. There's thousands of schools. We cannot keep up with each and every one of them. So really looking at as much as possible at your admissions pages, having conversations. These schools also, as you heard, like some of them got test optional, and next year they're not going to be test optional. So we try to keep up to date, but it's really important that the students go through that and make sure they're really looking at those details. So.
No, that's such a great point. And, you know, like we kind of have seen the trends because, you know, we've been doing this for a few years. So we see, like Mr. Searcy said earlier, with Providence College, like they were accepting more, but now maybe they're not. Schools periodically also raise their minimal GPA that they're taking. They're also taking other factors into consideration. So we always invite families to connect with schools and get the latest updates, because we're not the experts. Like, we can certainly give advice, but it's best to hear directly from the school. And just in terms of some study prep and practice exams that your children can access to get ready for the SAT, here's a couple links. Naviance and Kaplan, and there's also the College Board. College Board has so many amazing resources through Khan Academy. It's all free. Students just need to create an account, because studies have shown that even a little bit of preparation really affects your score results. So College Board has always, you know, we've probably all attended workshops where they really stress that, you know, they really see a difference between students who do no preparation, students who do some, and then students who do a lot of preparation. So take advantage of the resources that are out there.
Right, so we're actually going to have some SAT practice sessions coming up right at the high school. So we're going to be inviting the juniors and our sophomores. They'll be happening in the winter time in January and February, and the last one will be in April. This will be posted in the Google Classroom, so the students can fill out a Google form, and we ask that they register by January 9th.
And I just want to stress, this is done by actually a parent of the, well, he's actually an ex-parent, well, he's still a parent, but he's not a parent of a student anymore, who's been doing this for a number of years and has a real interest in, and has done a lot of research in the area. And so we really stress, he gives up his time. These are all volunteer hours that he gives back to the community. So if you're going to sign up, we ask the students, please, we realize things come up, but if you're going to sign up, please make sure you attend. And again, one of the biggest factors is just practice. So he literally goes through some tips and tricks, but then the students take practice exams. There are practice exams the College Board puts up so that you can do that. He goes through it. It's just like taking the day of the exam. And then at the end, he kind of reviews some of the answers and then makes some recommendations to help students kind of focus on, okay, this may be the area that I struggled in. This is what you want to kind of do. So we're very lucky to have them. If he was doing this, if you were paying somebody to do this, you'd be paying probably $100 to $150 each session. So again, I just want to stress that we're very lucky to have Mr. Denham doing this.
And the forms will go up in about a month. And in the past years, students can do one or they can do all three. It's really up to them how many they want to do. So like I said, they'll go up in about a month.
All right. So switching back to the Naviance, so if the students log on to the self-discovery tab, there's actually a couple different things that they can do. So if we switch to the next slide, we recommend doing the Career Cluster Finder and the Career Interest Profiler. These surveys can help them discover different careers that they might not know about, or they actually have an interest in based on their personality types. They can kind of give you different fields of careers, like maybe they're interested in the medical career, but they're not quite sure which specialty. So this really helps them get an idea of some jobs that they might be interested in. So then we also have a whole school to career services program with Ms. Kay right down in guidance. She can work with you on career exploration, some resumes. She'll actually help you apply to jobs if you need it, do some interview prep and help with that. We also have a work study program that she can help students get involved in, any job shadowing. And we're actually going to be having a career fair coming up at the end of the month, and we'll have juniors meet with different careers for seasonal positions. So there's actually a lot of good work that she can do. So if you're interested, you can just go see her or send her an email to make an appointment. So lastly, some next steps and student responsibilities. So for this fall and the winter, just continuing to do your research on what colleges you may be interested in or what careers, taking those tours, whether it's on campus or virtual. Planning out when you think you're going to take your SAT or the ACT, maybe signing up for that free workshop, and then continuing to earn the community service hours. There is a requirement for 30 hours for the class of 2024. And then looking ahead to the spring and the summer, that's when you can start adding some of those schools to the colleges I'm thinking about tab. Thinking about who you're going to ask for letters of recommendation. You can even ask some of your teachers before you leave for summer vacation. And then you can work on your college essay in the spring. You're actually going to be doing that in your English classes, and then working on your resume and brag sheet, which you'll need for the fall. And then also just talking to your family about, your planning and some budget options and all that stuff.
So before we move on to questions, so I just want to say a couple of things in terms of, we have juniors that are in all kinds of different places as far as the college search process. We have students that can tell us right now, these are the colleges I'm interested in. I've already been on campus. This is where I want to go. These are the majors I want to explore. And that's fine. But then we also have students who have not been to a college campus, have no idea what they want to do, or even what kind of college they want to go to. So one of the things I would suggest for those folks, if that's where you are, that's okay. You still have plenty of time. But I think getting out and seeing, we're very lucky to be in this area because we have all kinds of different kinds of campuses and different kinds of colleges. Sometimes I say to folks, don't worry about whether in the first step, don't worry about whether you can be accepted or not. Don't worry about whether they have your major or not if you're not sure of those things. If your student hasn't been out, go visit a suburban campus, go visit a city, urban campus, go visit a small rural place. Check out the different kinds of campuses just to kind of be, okay, so now I've narrowed it down that way. This is the place I feel most comfortable with. And sometimes you'd be surprised. Personally, and then with all the parents, both with friends and in this work that I've had, oh, no way, my daughter would never be interested in a city campus. And then they go visit Northeastern and, oh my God, I want to live in the city. And I think one of the most important things about choosing your college, obviously finances are issue, obviously, how good the college is, all of those things are important, but fit is really important. You have to sort of be comfortable where the student needs to be comfortable where they're going. The last thing, it happens, transfers happen, but you can lose a lot of money that way. Number one, you can lose a lot of time. Sometimes kids say they're going to transfer and then they don't. So if you can find that fit and start visiting campuses now, that's really important. As I said, if you are visiting campuses of places you want to apply to or think you might want to apply to, again, I can't stress enough, make sure you sign in. Make sure you introduce yourselves to the admissions reps if they're there. Take advantage of all those opportunities because they do know and they do track and they do sort of watch that piece of it. And then the other piece, we had a presentation the other day for finances. I don't know if anybody saw that. But one of the things to look at is sometimes you look at a private college and you're like, oh my God, it's $70,000. I'm not even going to go look at that. It doesn't always work out when you get financial aid and you get merit that there's a big difference between what you could, what the actual price tag in the end will be. So, obviously that's a very important piece of it, but don't automatically rule out a college because of the sticker price. Some of those are there, but there's lots of ways to get it funded. And it might not be as much as you think. So. With that being said, this presentation, as it said when we started, has been recorded and will be up on the website.
There's one question.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. I just want to get through that part. And then they're going to send the actual presentation out. That'll go out on the Google Classroom. So you can click onto the links and so forth. The students will be able to access those. So we do have one question. If I missed this, there's no fee for the upcoming 2023 SAT practice events. Nope. For ours, for the ones that we'll be sending out, they are absolutely free. Yep. Like I said, Mr. Denham, who's been doing this for us for a while, he does this out of the goodness of his heart. He thinks it's important. He really wants to have kids do their best. And honestly, the number one way to improve your scores, the research has shown, is to take the test and to practice and understand how the questions are worded and what it looks like. What the time constraints are and all of that. So yeah, he does it for free. And that's why I really stress, please, if you sign up, do your best to attend. It's nothing worse to say, I've got 20 kids that are signed up and 2 show up. It's kind of discouraging. We'll run it either way, but I want to make sure he keeps coming back as long as we can, because like I said, it would be $150 probably somewhere else if you were to do this. And do we have any other questions out there? Give a few seconds. If there's no other questions, again, we are here to help you guys through this process. I think if you take it one step at a time, use this time between now and the spring to visit, to explore campuses, to explore interests, to get on and look at different colleges, whether through Naviance or their own websites. And start to make some of those decisions. What kinds of schools do I want to go to? Kind of where do I fit from an academic perspective, but also diversity perspective, size, all of those kinds of things. We're seeing more and more kids leaving the Northeast too, exploring, the South. We had a lot of kids that go other places. So you do get some time if you want to go to college visits. I think it's up to 3 days will be excused for college visits, but take advantage of the February vacation, the April vacation, and try to go see places if you can. Again, we're here. Please take advantage, reach out, email us, call us. We're happy to help. And if we don't know an answer, we'll either find it or get you the person that does. So is there any more questions? Okay, hopefully this was helpful. I'd like to thank all the guidance counselors along with our interpreters and our closed caption folks. And I hope everybody has a good night, and we'll see you soon.